this year, more than 2 billion people across 50 countries are expected to go to the polls. The most keenly watched election, of course, is going to be happening right here in the world's largest democracy, where 986.8 million voters are going to cast their ballot. Our next session brings together two seasoned politicians and speakers from either side to discuss the general election. Please welcome on stage Dr. Shashi Tharoor, Member of Parliament, Indian National Congress, Thiruvananthapuram, and of course a much celebrated author as well. And also a huge round of applause, please, for Dr. Vinay Sahasrabudhe, Vice Chairman Rambhau Malagi Prabidini, and Member NEC BJP. Can I also request Mr. Veer Sanghvi to please join us on stage?
We're supposed to be discussing the next election. So I'm going to stand, actually, because I think the energy is wrong when people sit. I'm going to ask you the obvious question. How much are you going to win by, Vijay?
Most certainly more than 300. 370 is the target.
NDA or BJP?
No, BJP I am saying.
More than 300?
Yeah.
Okay. And how much do you think the Congress will get?
Well, I won't hazard a guess because he better knows the situation.
No, I'll ask him, but I want your opinion.
I wish him a good luck. That's it.
All right. No doubt you wish him good luck too.
He doesn't seem to need it. I think one of the great strengths we have is the complacency of the BJP in this election. They seem to think it's already a done deal, and it isn't.
Well, I think the Prime Minister has already announced what he will do in his third term. So in their mind, there's no doubt at all. But in your mind, is there any doubt that they'll get more than 300 seats?
Yes, there's a great amount of doubt that they will come anywhere close to what they're projecting, and I'll tell you why.
Why?
First and foremost is they did too well in 2019, right across the Hindi heartland, the belt, where they're strong. And even if there is a wave of enthusiasm after the Ram Mandir and so on, their percentage of votes may go up, but there are no seats left to win, practically many of these places. Last time, they won every seat in Haryana, every seat in Rajasthan, all but one seat in Madhya Pradesh, all but one seat in Karnataka, a large number of seats in Maharashtra, Bihar, and Bengal. All of this is not going to happen this time. Because it's impossible for them to repeat those numbers once again.
So you think they've already peaked?
I think they peaked in 2019. We're going to see nothing but a downhill slide. How much downhill that's going to be depends on how effective the opposition's campaign is, which is just picking up. Of course, but I'm urging people, don't give up on the opposition, because the opposition may be your next government.
You really believe that, Shashi?
Of course.
Okay, all right, okay. You were going to say something.
Well, I think, imagination has no limit. And therefore, I don't mind if he really imagines that it is going to happen. What India is witnessing today, and not just witnessing, I would say experiencing today, all the Indians, is the democracy of aspirations. There is optimism all around, and people really want to take this country into the era of Vikasit Bharat as envisioned by Prime Minister Narendra Modi.
You're talking in generalities. Of course, we all want Vikasit India, we all want prosperity, but break it down. Why would a young man who voted for Mr. Modi twice in the hope it was going to get him a job vote for him a third time when he still doesn't have a job? Our unemployment has been going up right through the country. And sadly speaking, youth unemployment in particular, those between 20 and 24 are looking at 45.4% unemployment. Can the average person since COVID actually afford the things that he was able to afford 2 years ago at the bazaar? The media is overlooking this. You're all focused on other issues, big headline issues, and I can understand and forgive that. But when it comes to what people are going to vote on the basis of, it can't just be woolly-headed slogans and generalities. It's got to be about the nitty-gritty of their lives.
How do you respond to that?
Well, I think challenges are already there. We are not saying that there are no challenges. When nation moves ahead, transforms, new things definitely come up, and with new things, there are new challenges as well. And we have been living with these challenges, and happily, this government has come out with n number of welfare programs which are providing a kind of a cushioning to the people who are really facing the heat of whether it is price rise or a little bit of unemployment as well. I would say that unemployment certainly has been there, and that is not something new. But we have provided multiple opportunities for entrepreneurship, startups. Tell me, where was the scheme like Mudra earlier? Why have we been ignoring all the Vishwakarmas? The government has now come up with a welfare program for all the Vishwakarmas, all the artisans, hawkers. So we have taken practically care of every other section of the society.
And do you know that startups have laid off more people than they've hired in the last 2 years? Even the funding of startups has gone down colossally, as I pointed out in my budget speech in Parliament. You can say, yes, the Mudra scheme was not thought of earlier. We can say, we came after 10 years of your 6 years of your government, and you had not thought of Manrega, you had not thought of a right to information, you had not thought of right to education, food security. There are many issues that we also came up with that you didn't have. So we can trade these things. I don't want to do that tu meme. The real issue is the future. I am alarmed particularly about our young people, because educating and skilling our young is not just a socio-economic issue, it is a national security issue. There is nothing more dangerous for the future of India than legions of unemployed young men, particularly men, but also young people. Now, the sad truth is, this is where we fail. We talk about skill India and skill development and so on. 10 years ago, you inherited a country with 2.3% of the workforce skilled. Today, it's 2.4%. We are in a position where we have not risen to the real challenges facing our country.
Let's assume for a moment that everything you're saying is correct. Why is this not reflecting in election results? Why does your party keep losing in that case?
And I would agree that in the last couple of elections, the BJP has been better than us at the last mile of reaching every voter, knocking on doors. Their Panna Prabhari system, their bringing people to the polling booths has been better than ours. They've also been far better funded, and there's been more manpower available to them than to us, which is not an excuse. It merely is an observation. It's a fact.
Is that all there is to it?
No, I think it is, a left-hand compliment coming from Mr. Shashi Tharoor.
Yeah.
I would expect him to be a little more gracious to say that, yes, your party is delivering. See, everybody was talking about democracy earlier as well.
Yeah.
But what Prime Minister Modi has done is that he has ensured that democracy eventually delivers. उसके कारण जो परिवर्तन आया है लोगों के जीवन में, अभी आप राशन दुकान पर जाइए, पूछिए राशन दुकान के मालिक को कि क्या राशन सही वक्त में आता है और क्या लोगों को मिलता है, जिनको जरूरी है उनको मिलता है या नहीं है. And now there is a mechanism. The whole technological setup is now there that only those who are deserving should get the ration.
Given the fact that we also instituted a number of things, these things which your government very wisely continued with despite having criticized them when they were instituted. Manrega is a great example, even after the 2014 election.
No, but we have improvised Manrega.
Modi
We have
ji,
improvised Manrega.
Modi ji
आपके
said
जमाने
that-
में गड्ढा खोलो और गड्ढा भरो, यही चलता था. Now there is a mechanism by way of which we are creating places of public utility. ग्राम पंचायत के भवन बन रहे हैं, यूटिलिटीज बन रही है, बहुत सारे समाज मंदिर बन रहे हैं. So लोगों की क्षमता, उनके परिश्रम और सरकार का धन, इसका सही अर्थ में विनियोग होने का रास्ता जो आप भी बना सकते थे, मगर आपने बनाया नहीं.
हम तो मनरेगा को शुरू किए. We started the direct benefit transfer system.
Shashi
I
ji,
was in
you
the
are in
education ministry.
Maharashtra. In Marathi language, there is a very popular term which is called as Arambhashur. So आप आरंभ तो सारी चीजों का अच्छे करते हैं, but you never ensure that they go to the logical end.
लेकिन
Sad.
मौका आपको मिला.
Okay. Thank you both. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, gentlemen. This was certainly a match of equals. Do stay on stage as I invite Mohit Roy Sharma, Executive Editor, Outreach ABP Network, and Rajiv Gupta, Director, Sharda University, to please join us on stage and present our speakers with a memento. Dr. Vinay Sahasrabuddhe, ladies and gentlemen. I think we can do with a louder applause. Thank you also to Dr. Tharoor. India faced with a world that seems to be in a state of constant upheaval. From the rise of nationalism and the closing of borders to the escalation of brutal conflicts and wars, the global landscape is undergoing profound changes that are reshaping our collective future. For this discussion on the world in ferment, I'd like to invite someone who's been an influential voice and decision maker in the United Kingdom for years now. Please very warmly welcome Suella Braverman, Conservative Member of Parliament for Fareham and former Home Secretary, United Kingdom. And of course, who better to lead this conversation than a three-time MP himself? Please welcome parliamentarian and author, Dr. Shashi Tharoor. I'd first like to request Ms. Braverman to please join us at the podium for her opening remarks. Welcome again.
It's a great honor to speak at the Ideas of India Summit today. And I want to put on record my thanks to the organizers for putting together a magnificent schedule of thought-provoking discussions and meetings that I am sure will be fruitful in many ways. And in my brief introductory comments, I want to just say that for me, whilst I'm proud to be born and bred in Wembley in the United Kingdom, I love India. India is in my heart, she's in my soul, and she's in my blood. I'm second-generation immigrant in Britain. My father was born in Nairobi in Kenya in the 1940s, but he has his roots in Asagao and Kalangut in Goa. The enterprise, the innovation, the development, and the success that India has achieved, that you have achieved, is astounding. And I want to take this opportunity to applaud you and your fellow countrymen for achieving so much success in such a short time. This year will be one in which India may play an important role diplomatically and politically. With over 60 general elections around the world, including in the USA and UK, both, if the current polling is right, marking a change in administration. We have wars in Europe and the Middle East, global challenges relating to COVID recovery, energy supply challenges, terrorism, and global migration movements of an unprecedented scale. There is opportunity for both countries, like the UK and India, to collaborate and work together on the world stage. That is why post-Brexit United Kingdom heralds a great opportunity for a UK-India trade deal that works for both our nations. To double trade to potentially £86 billion, doubling your exports and increasing UK investment in India. So, to conclude, it's clear that we all live in exciting times in both the UK and India, and I look forward to spending time with you today and ongoing as we explore the vast array of topical issues on the itinerary. Thank you.
Thank you, Suella. That was extremely interesting, and I must say that for many who are familiar with the media image you have and the sort of reputation that it was developed, particularly during your 2 stints as Home Secretary, your remarks will come as a very pleasant surprise. You have been portrayed, perhaps caricatured, you'll have to say, as almost a self-hating Indian, somebody who has been anti the free trade deal because it's going to facilitate more immigration from India, somebody who has been so tough on migration, both legal and illegal, that some of the less kind terms about you include a play on your name, Cruella.
Listen, I've been in politics, in elected politics, for nearly a decade now. And there is always the cut and thrust of political debate. And you develop, as you will know, I'm sure, Shashi, a thick skin. And so, you know, media labels really are neither here or there. What matters is delivery for the British people. And what I've been very concerned about in the UK, and particularly in my role as Home Secretary, and I actually know that the Prime Minister shares this commitment, is tackling the very challenging problem that we have in the United Kingdom right now, that of unprecedented illegal migration. In 2022, we had 45,000 people cross the English Channel on a dinghy illegally. It's something that has occurred in recent years, pretty much post-Brexit. I've been attempting to reflect the very strong concerns that the majority of British people feel about illegal migration in the United Kingdom. Ultimately, it's a humanitarian challenge because people are dying in the Channel to get to the United Kingdom. They're being exploited by criminal gangs, people smugglers. They're often vulnerable people, but they're also abusing and exploiting our immigration rules. It's something that cannot continue.
You've called yourself a proud child of empire, and you've actually said that the empire was responsible for establishing the rule of law in their former colonies. Now, many of us in India have a very different view of empire, and I'm certainly amongst the more notorious critics of everything to do with empire, including the claim of rule of law, which was in fact administered in the colonies in the most appallingly one-sided and racist manner. How would you today look at the overall record? Do you still feel that India should be happy to have been ruled by the British?
I don't think we can look back on history in binary terms. I think things are always nuanced. There is always good and there is always bad. And I think judging our forefathers and the fathers of our fathers of our fathers of our fathers by contemporary standards is always a difficult juggling act. So I am, of course there were aspects about the empire which many people will have found abhorrent, but also it can be true that the British did leave behind the railways and the ports and the civil service and the administration.
All of which were instituted in order to perpetuate British rule in India and enhance British profits. I understand your role as a British politician in Britain, but all right, let me move on, because I've got to ask you a question that I keep getting asked in terms of my party, and that's about your party. Are you doomed to inevitable defeat?
Despite the gloomy prospects set out in the polling, which is very difficult evidence to deny, I do believe we can still win the next general election. In the United Kingdom, the Labour Party is tearing itself apart over an issue relating to foreign policy on Gaza and the Middle East. And the Labour Party would be a disaster for the United Kingdom economically, in terms of security terms and defence, and in terms of our world standing. So I very much hope and will work very hard to secure a Conservative victory at the general election.
Ladies and gentlemen, a big hand for Suella Brand.
Well, what a match of equals this has been. I'd request you to please stay on stage as I invite Avinash Pandey, CEO, ABP Network, to join us and present you with a token of our immense gratitude for your presence here today. Let's hear it for the wonderful Suella Braverman and Dr. Shashi Tharoor.